Hey, it's Jake Vantine here. I wanted to make a video because I wanted to talk about basically the topic of quitting. So this is why I want to talk about this topic. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story a little bit. So basically, it's January 17th. I just had I had a nice run earlier in the morning, and then I went for a swim, and then when I was getting out of the shower, I got a phone call from the mother of my 3 kids, my ex-wife, and she said that Jake Jr., my middle son, who's 12 years old, just started wrestling this year, was thinking about quitting. Now, before I go any further, let me tell you my story. So my freshman year in high school, I was very strong. I benched 300 something pounds, my first time ever lifting a weight. My wrestling coach, Kemble Motter, a very influential, charismatic man, found out how strong I was, found out that my older sister was dating a former wrestler that he wrestled with him, who was pretty good, grabbed me in the hallway and literally grabbed me by the chin and said, you're gonna be the strongest freshman I've ever had, you're coming out for wrestling. Didn't really even give me a choice. So I started wrestling. The whole year I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to quit. I started skipping practices. My heart wasn't fully in it. Towards the end of the season's rolling around and I'm about to quit myself. So what happens is my assistant coach, I'll call him Cheech, Coach Siliberto. He gets me in the hall in like a free period, whatever you call them, a study hall. He says, "Hey Jake, are you on the team or not?" He basically called me out. He said, "You're either gonna just don't come to practice, just either get off the team or on the team. Just let us know. This is kind of ridiculous." So that night I went home, not even thinking about that conversation, but just thinking about my life as a 14-year-old kid. I went and I prayed. Didn't even know who and what I was praying for. I just said, "Hey God, give me a sign." So the next day I go to school, go through my day. I'm about to go to the bus and something comes in my mind, heart, whatever, to say, "Hey, why don't you go to practice today?" So I do a 180. I turn around from going to the bus to go to practice. On my way in, I'm going into the locker room and there's all this talk and like all this stuff going on. I'm like, what's going on? So it turns out there isn't a practice. There's actually a meet. They're getting ready to go to an away meet that night. Now, what happened was I didn't know, but the whispering is that the person that wrestled in my weight class, the 171 pounder, Kevin, had quit that day and was not there. So what ended up happening was the coaches found out that I had showed up. I was that weight. They called me in the office and said, "Hey, listen, dress up for the meet." I'm like, holy cow, I'm about to quit. Now I'm getting dressed up to go actually to the meet with the varsity team. Now, if you know anything about wrestling, it's a real tough sport. Just being a wrestler is hard, and then being a varsity wrestler is like really hard. So it's a big deal. It's a lot of pressure. It's like, wow. So basically what happens is we get over to, we were wrestling Onteora, and coach comes in, he says, "You know what? You have a chance to beat this kid. I think you can beat this kid." He gives me the prep talk. So I go out there, I suit up, and then I go out there. I'm real nervous. I'm out of shape. I got really winded during these matches. So basically, I get out there, we're wrestling. I get really short, out of breath because I wasn't in the best shape, and so I'm falling behind. But then during the match, at some point, the guy gouges me in the eye. And Coach Kemble Motter got so infuriated. He's like, "He gouged him in the eye." And he starts yelling at the ref because it should have been a penalty. Now, the other side was all excited because they wanted this kid to win because he hadn't won all too much. He's still a good wrestler, but he hadn't won. They wanted him to win. And then my side was all like, wanted me to win, and they wanted me to get back because I got gouged in the eye. So at this point in the middle of the match, it's loud. It's starting to sound like a playoff Super Bowl game or something. For wrestling, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's really getting intense. And so everyone's getting into it, and the match is close. So my match actually is significant. So if I win, it could help us win the team to win. So what ends up happening is towards the end of the match, totally out of breath, I got one eye, I'm wrestling with one eye. I look up at the scoreboard and I see that I'm down by 4 points and there's only literally like about 10 seconds left, the last 10 seconds of the match. And somehow, some way, I got the strength from going from my back all the way, bringing this guy up in the air, bringing him down on his back. So I got 2 points for a reversal, and then I got 3 back points. I won by 1 point with 1 second left to go, and my whole side of the whole team went crazy. All the fans on our side rooting for our team went crazy, and basically ever since then, I was on varsity wrestling for the rest of my high school career. So I went from being a zero to a hero overnight, all because I showed up, right? I showed up. Now, the things that I learned in wrestling from my coach, from my teammates, from the wins, from the losses, from everything, the discipline, the training, everything, the teamwork, being a strong individual to be part of a bigger team, all have carried over into my adult life in almost every aspect of my life. Now, I hope and I wish and I want my sons to learn the same lessons. Now, do they have to do wrestling? No, they don't. It's their life. But what I want to say is, if you quit, you never give yourself the chance to learn these things or give yourself the opportunity for things like that to happen. So, what am I going to say to my son in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes is why I wanted to share this video. So I called Coach Motter in preparation of talking to my son. And I said, well, what would you say, or what do you think I should say? I already had my idea. And he reiterated kind of what I was feeling. And he said, well, you got to do it for 2 years, right? Because the first year you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get better, and you're going to lose. He said, getting beat is a good lesson. He says, we talked about chess, me and my coach, and if you play chess against somebody that's not very good, you never learn anything. But if you play chess against someone who's better than you, then you learn and you get better. Anyway, we both concluded, Coach Motter and I, basically that you only lose if you quit. If you go and lose a match, if you go and apply to a job and you don't get it, if you go on an audition and you don't get it, if you go and run and whatever, or you get it, as long as you don't quit, you wake up and you try again, you are not a loser. You never lose if you keep going. And if I didn't follow this, I would be nowhere. If I quit when the going got tough and I got rejected time and time again, well, I would not have anything to show for my life right now. So what am I going to say to my son? I'm going to say simply this. The things that you can learn in this sport are great. You owe it to yourself to stick it through. And basically this, give it some time. It's okay to go out there. The most important thing is trying. And just like they said in that Rocky movie, it's not how hard you can get hit, it's how many times you can get back and keep going forward, keep moving forward. In that great speech with Rocky where he says, at one point you were this little and then something happened and you changed and now, that great speech where he says, not how hard you, and that's the thing. You never lose if you don't give up. So remember that, whether it's wrestling, whether it's whatever you want to do, whatever your dreams are. Now, I just decided I'm going to start learning the guitar. It's hard. If I quit, I'm never going to learn it. So guess what? I'm going to get through it. I'm going to give some time. So when I talk to my son, I'm going to say basically this. You owe it to yourself to give it a couple years. You owe it to yourself to give it a try. And if you don't like it after a couple years, okay, fine. It is what it is. But you at least owe it to yourself to go out and face your fears and give it a shot and improve. And as long as you keep going out there, as long as you keep facing your opponent, and guess what? It's not the opponent on the other side. The guy you're wrestling is not your opponent. The person you're running against is not your opponent. The opponent is within. And if you can improve yourself and understand that it's an inside game, then you can become a champion in life. And that's it. All right, I hope everyone enjoys this video. I wanted to share it to everyone, not just my son. So remember, as long as you don't give up, you will never lose. You will always be a winner. So do your best and forget the rest, like they say in P90X, and just keep getting after it because you will succeed. You just have to just keep being persistent. All right, out.